You're listening to the Wells Report, which will return in 1 minute. The Wells Report returns in 30 seconds. North to south, coast to coast, around the world, this is the Wells Report. Good morning. On this broadcast, we report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We do make commentary. Commentary is not news. Commentary is opinion, both yours and mine. Let's talk. Let's compare our opinions. Let's debate. This is a huge space of time, indeed a turning point in the history of the United States of America. That in the form of an assassination attempt on Donald Trump over the weekend. We have full coverage of that event, and we will bring that to you. However, as odd as it may sound, there indeed is news that pushes that off the very first moments of the Wells Report today. And that story comes from Florida. A federal judge in Florida has dismissed the case against former President Trump's handling of classified documents. Trump had faced charges stemming from special counsel Jack Smith's investigation into his possession of classified materials at Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence. He pled not guilty to all 37 felony counts from the Smith probe, including willful retention of national defense information, conspiracy to obstruct justice, and false statements. Quote, former President Trump's motion to dismiss indictment based on the unlawful appointment and funding of special counsel Jack Smith is granted in accordance with this order. This according to U.S. District Judge Eileen Cannon, writing in a ruling this morning. The superseding indictment is dismissed because the special counsel Smith's appointment violates the Appointments Clause of the United States Constitution. Trump, following the ruling, told Fox News' Bret Baier, the anchor and executive editor of Special Report with Bret Baier, said that he was thrilled that a judge had the courage and wisdom to do this. This has big implications, not just for the case, but for other cases. The special counsel worked with everyone trying to take me down, Trump added from Milwaukee, the site of this week's Republican National Convention. This is a big deal. It only makes the convention more positive. This will be an amazing week. The Appointments Clause, according to Fox News, says that ambassadors, other public ministers and consuls, judges of the Supreme Court, and all other officers of the United States may be appointed subject to the advice and consent of the Senate, although Congress may vest the appointment of inferior officers in the president alone, in the courts of law, or in the heads of departments. Smith, however, was never confirmed by the Senate of the United States. Upon careful study of the foundational challenges raised in the motion, the court is convinced the special counsel Smith's prosecution of this action breaches two structural cornerstones of our national constitutional scheme: the role of Congress in the appointment of constitutional officers and the role of Congress in authorizing expenditures by law. She went on to say the framers gave Congress a pivotal role in the appointment of principal and inferior officers. That role cannot be usurped by the executive branch or diffused elsewhere, whether in this case or any other case, whether in times of heightened national need or not, she continued. In the case of inferior officers, that means the Congress is empowered to decide if it wishes to vest appointment power in a head of a department. And indeed, Congress has proven itself quite capable of doing so in many other statutory contexts. But it plainly did not do so here, despite the special counsel's strained statutory readings. In the end, it seems the executive's growing comfort in appointing regulatory special counsels in the more recent era has followed an ad hoc pattern with little judicial scrutiny. That is a brilliant statement. That's a brilliant opinion. I don't know whether it's ever going to be assailed on appeal by anyone. It is a basic constitutional thing. So Eileen Cannon said, this is the way it is. This is what didn't happen. This is what should have happened. End of story. Now, of course, people are going to say, well, she's a Trump appointee. My God, it's all political, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But will they? This doesn't necessarily make all the charges against Donald Trump disappear. It just makes Jack Smith disappear. As we come to this day, at this time, in this nation, do you believe anybody in the current administration will rekindle any of these charges against Donald Trump? Time will tell. It was, without doubt, one of the most heart-wrenching, one of the most amazingly difficult things that any of us have seen since the Zapruder film of 1963. It was a moment that could have been far, far worse than what it was, but it was bad enough as it was. The President of the United States, in a rural town in Pennsylvania near Pittsburgh, was speaking to the people when an attempted assassination happened right in the middle of his speech. Take a look at this. This is how we saw it the other day.
If you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Let me, I'm going to go ahead and play that over for you. I'm going to start this from the beginning. So take this from the beginning. I'm sorry, I missed the button.
If you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Move his hair. Hold. When you're ready. On you. Ready. Move. Up. Move. Go. Up. Hawkeye's here. Hawkeye's here. Move it to the stand. Get ready. Get ready. You ready? Are we good? Shooter's down. Are we good to move? We're clear. Let's go. We're clear. We're clear. Let me get my shoes. I got you, sir. Let me get my shoes. Hold on, your head is bloody. So we gotta move to the bus. Let me get my shoes. Okay, shoes down. Watch out.
And the president was ushered into his rescue vehicle, and he was taken from the scene. That video, courtesy of ABC News, and we sincerely appreciate their cooperation and let us have it. So there are a lot of people talking today. There are a lot of people saying a lot of things. There are things that are about to happen that we need to wait for. We need to be patient. The most important thing in all of this is the president, the former president of the United States, is okay. That's the most important thing. There's an awful lot of loose talk on the social media front, with people casting aspersions on the Secret Service, casting aspersions on the Biden administration, casting aspersions everywhere about everything. We need to wait. Now, the president of the United States, that would be Joe Biden, came out very shortly after the event and had a presser. This was a press conference. And here's how this went. Take a very close look at the president of the United States handling presidential chores in what I consider to be a pretty good fashion. Check this out.
Thanks for coming, folks. I've been thoroughly briefed by all the agencies in the federal government as to the situation, based on what we know now. I have tried to get a hold of Donald. He's with his doctors. Apparently he's doing well. I plan on talking to them shortly, I hope, when I get back to the telephone. Look, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this. And I want to thank the Secret Service and all the agencies, including the state agencies, that have engaged in making sure that the people we have more detail to come relative to other people maybe injured in the audience. I don't have all that detail. We'll make that available to you. I may be able to come back a little later tonight, but we'll put out a statement if I'm not able to if it's not convenient for you all. But the bottom line is that the Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully without any problem. But the idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. And everybody must condemn it. Everybody. I'll keep you informed, and if I'm able to speak to Donald, I'll let you know that as well. But so far, it appears he's doing well, number one. Number two, that they're thoroughly investigating what happened to anyone else in the audience. We have some reports, but not final reports. And every agency in the federal government, I'm going back to my phone to speak with the federal agencies that are being put together again to give me an updated briefing. Has anything happened? They learned any more in the last couple hours. So thank you very much, and I hope I get to speak to them tonight, and I'll get back to you if I do. Okay?
Do you think there was an assassination?
I don't know enough to. I have an opinion, but I don't have any facts. So I want to make sure we have all the facts before I make any more comments. Thank you.
And that was the president of the United States. He did a great job. As a matter of fact, the other two statements the rest of the day pretty much were not any better than that. They were more staged. They were more prepared. There was a teleprompter involved. But President Biden handled that very, very well. He truly did. Speaking of the Oval Office speech, there was indeed a moment when he went to the Oval Office and he spent some time addressing the nation. That was an adequate speech. It was fine. There were some bumbles in it, but the thing about it is that the president of the United States was doing his job regarding this particular circumstance. And I was indeed, as I made plain, very impressed with that original Snap press conference. That was a great statement. It wasn't scripted. There was nothing to it. He walks out and he says, thanks for coming. Here's what's going on. Here's what we're doing about it. This is where we're going. I'll have another comment, et cetera, et cetera. And then somebody asked him a question. Is this an assassination attempt? And the president said, after he thought for a moment, he said, I don't have enough information right now. I've got an opinion. We'll get back to you. Okay. The rest of the statements, fine, but they weren't as good as that one. I was impressed by the president and the way he handled it. This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Obviously, lots of coverage today. The classified documents case waged against Donald Trump by apparently special counsel Jack Smith has been set aside by federal district judge Eileen Cannon because there should not have been a special prosecutor named Jack Smith, because he was never given consent by the Senate of the United States. There's more on that story as we continue on the Wells Report. Thanks very much for being a part of our broadcast. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Telephone number is 817-379-2172, 817-379-2172. The assassination attempt on Saturday in Butler, Pennsylvania, by someone we still don't know a lot about. More about that coming in just a couple of moments. But first, there are statements now from the FBI and the Secret Service. This from yesterday. The FBI is investigating the shooting at the July 13th rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, which resulted in one victim's death and injuries to former President Trump and other spectators, as an assassination attempt and potential domestic terrorism. While the investigation to date indicates the shooters acted alone, or the shooter acted alone, the FBI continues to conduct logical investigative activity to determine if there were any co-conspirators associated with his attack. At this time, there are no current public safety concerns. The FBI has not identified a motive for the shooter's actions, but we are working to determine the sequence of events and the shooter's movements prior to the shooting, collecting and reviewing evidence, conducting interviews, and following up on all leads. We also have obtained the shooter's telephone for examination. The FBI has searched the shooter's home and vehicle to collect additional evidence. Suspicious devices found at both locations have been rendered safe by bomb technicians are being evaluated at the FBI laboratory. The firearm used in the shooting was purchased legally. The shooter was not known to the FBI prior to this incident. The FBI is investigating, or the FBI investigation is being led by the FBI Pittsburgh field office in coordination with local, state, and federal partners. Anyone with information that may assist with the ongoing investigation is encouraged to submit it online at tips.fbi.gov, tips.fbi.gov, or call 1-800-CALL-FBI, 1-800-CALL-FBI. There is a statement now from the Secret Service Director, Kimberly Cheadle, who has come under withering criticism today. She said this, which was issued earlier this morning. I would like to start by extending my deepest condolences to the family and friends of Corey Comparatori, who was killed during the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump's life in Butler, Pennsylvania, Saturday, as well as those who were injured during this senseless act of violence. Secret Service personnel on the ground moved quickly during the incident, with our counter-sniper team neutralizing the shooter and our agents implementing protective measures to ensure the safety of former President Donald Trump. Since the shooting, I have been in constant contact with Secret Service personnel in Pennsylvania who worked to maintain the integrity of the crime scene until the FBI assumed its role as the lead investigative agency into the assassination attempt. I've also been coordinating with the protective detail for former President Trump and have briefed President Biden on the details of the incident. The Secret Service is working with all federal, state, and local agencies to understand what happened, how it happened, and how we can prevent an incident like this from ever taking place again. We understand the importance of the independent review announced by President Biden yesterday and will participate fully. We will also work with the appropriate congressional committees on any oversight action. The incident in Pennsylvania has understandably led to questions about potential updates or changes in the security for the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. The U.S. Secret Service, in conjunction with federal, state, and local law enforcement and public safety partners, designs operational security plans for national security events to be dynamic in order to respond to a kinetic security environment and the most up-to-date intelligence from our partners. I am confident in the security plan our Secret Service RNC coordinator and our partners have put in place, which we have reviewed and strengthened in the wake of Saturday's shooting. The security plans for the national special security events are designed to be flexible as the convention progresses, and in accordance with the direction of the president, the Secret Service will continuously adapt our operations as necessary to ensure the highest level of safety and security for convention attendees, volunteers, and the city of Milwaukee. In addition to the additional security enhancements we provided President Trump's detail in June, we've also implemented changes to his security detail since Saturday to ensure his continued protection for the convention and the remainder of the campaign. That is from a statement this morning by Kimberly Cheadle, Secret Service Director. More about this and some other comments from other department secretaries in a moment. This is the Wells Report.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. Good morning. My name is John David Wells. Our telephone number is 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. We just heard from a statement from the FBI and the Secret Service. Earlier this morning, there was a moment on ABC's Good Morning America. George Stephanopoulos interviewed Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Here's how it went.
Just heard a little bit about the investigation. I think a lot of people are having questions about how a gunman could get up to the roof with a clear line of sight on the president. You oversee the Secret Service. What went wrong? What's being done about it?
George, let me at the very outset echo President Biden's important words of yesterday evening. We are so very grateful that former President Trump is okay. Our hearts are with the Comprador family that lost a father and a husband, and we are praying for those injured for a full and speedy recovery. George, a direct line of sight like that to the former president should not occur. That is precisely why President Biden directed that an independent review of the incident occur. That will be done in close coordination with the FBI, which is conducting a separate criminal investigation, the importance of which cannot be overstated. We have to learn everything about the assailant, who, of course, the Secret Service so bravely and heroically neutralized. And we are going to really study the event independently and make recommendations to the Secret Service and to me so that we can assure the safety and security of our protectees, which is one of our most vital missions in the Secret Service, the Department of Homeland Security, and across the government.
What do you mean independently?
It is very important that the facts be learned by an independent body outside of the Department of Homeland Security so that the integrity of the investigative process and the conclusions reached and the recommendations made have the full confidence of the government and the American public. And we intend to be transparent with respect to the findings and recommendations of the independent review.
You also received a letter from the chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee that suggests your department may have, quote, rebuffed multiple requests from President Trump's security detail to increase protective resources. How do you respond to that?
That is unequivocally false assertion. We keep very close watch on a very dynamic threat environment. The president, the former president, are commonly consistently under threat. We take every single threat seriously. We make security adjustments as are warranted. We had enhanced security for the former president beginning at least in June. We have not received any requests for additional security measures that were rebuffed. That assertion is unequivocally false.
And that is the official statement from the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Obviously, there are a lot of recriminations flying around. There are an awful lot of pointed and both poignant and important questions being thrown around regarding the actual execution of these investigations and indeed the procedures in place before these investigations were warranted by an attempted assassination of a former president. So here's our situation. I've been looking at this for a long time. There are a lot of people making blustery, bellicose statements about the Secret Service. Let's start there. The entire response of the Secret Service with regards to what they actually did with Donald Trump was just fine. It's one thing to have careful choreography of the dog pile, as it's called, when the principal, in this case, Donald Trump, is under attack. You can do it and you can do it and you can do it and you can simulate it and you can do all those kinds of things. But in a real world scenario, things are somewhat different. The actual crew on the ground surrounding President Donald Trump did a superb job. There are a lot of people saying, now, wait a minute, what about this DEI hire female? You know, various loose statements being made about her comportment during this. Look, you don't know what's going to happen when the worst case scenario presents itself to you. In that, you fall back on your training and do the best you can. The women that were involved in the actual response did just fine. The Secret Service, the detail on the ground, did just fine. Were there moments of oddness? Yeah, sure. Sure there were. You want to know the most important odd thing that happened during that dog pile? President Donald Trump first looking for his shoes. And the other thing that happened was that he stopped them from taking him off stage because he wanted to show the people that he was okay, shaking his fist and yelling the word fight 3 times. Now, normally, all the drills, all the training say, we don't care what you want to do, Mr. President. We're putting you in the rescue vehicle right this very moment. And that's that. Literally picking him up and carrying him off. They did not do that. In fact, I'll suspect that there might be a little bit of, brow-furrowed conversations between Secret Service supervisors and the members of that particular detail for not simply carrying President Donald Trump off the stage. They did let him stand there and shake his fist. That's probably going to be something that actually goes on in the internal conversations regarding Secret Service's response to this particular assassination attempt. There are other problems that are not so easily explained. Why is it that someone got within somewhere around 150 yards of the president with a loaded rifle? There are various rumors afoot. I am not going to repeat them here, but I will ask a question or two. If there was someone on a rooftop some 150 yards away, someone who was in the counter sniping team, the CS team, would have had them under observation. If indeed that person was unauthorized and that person had a rifle, that is a deadly force scenario where deadly force needs to be taken at that second. As soon as all of those boxes are checked. We have a guy there on the roof. He has a rifle. I have him in sight. He is unauthorized. Bang. And that's that. That's a question that's going to have to be explained. How the guy got up there is going to have to be explained. How is it that apparently a police officer actually interceded and saw the guy climbing the same ladder that the gunman used, had his rifle, the gunman then pointed his rifle at that particular sheriff's deputy, I believe, who fell off the ladder? How did that go? And then, of course, there's the problem with the spectator saying there's a guy with a gun right there. There's a guy with a gun right there. And the response, the interoperability between the police officers they were talking with and the Secret Service at a moment where the president was indeed in front of a crowd of people in a public place in broad daylight. And how is it that that word did not filter through the Secret Service command net almost instantly? Don't know these things. But then we go back to something I said earlier this hour. The president's okay. The former president is okay. From now until the end of the investigation, the rest of this is academic. We can wait. We can wait to see what the investigation holds. Unfortunately, it's not quite that simple, is it? When Donald Trump was president the first time, there was a cabal of people who were trying to do a couple of things. One, keep Donald Trump from making some sort of hideous mistake they were sure was going to happen. That turned into outright sabotage. That turned into unequal enforcement of law vis-a-vis the president's political opponents and the president, Donald Trump, at the time. And this all degenerated into a mess where suddenly the FBI has been or had been caught lying to the FISA court with regards to search warrants, etc., wiretaps, an archaic term, monitoring of Trump campaign cell phones by Trump campaign operatives, apparently accused of Russian collusion. The FBI sullied itself further by going to Mar-a-Lago and staging evidentiary photographs of the supposed classified information being held by Donald Trump behind locked doors and guarded by the Secret Service. In the meantime, a former senator, a former vice president with classified information with no authorization whatsoever, He's a well-meaning old man with a faulty memory. What do we have? The lead agency involved in this assassination attempt against Donald Trump doesn't exactly have either the credibility or the trustworthiness to move forward with any of this. If it involves Donald Trump, would you believe anything the FBI had to say? No, I'm not stomping on the FBI. I'm pointing out the FBI has sullied itself to the point where they are not trustworthy. And yes, the management involved in making political decisions using the weight of law, it's called oppression under color of office, damaged the FBI's reputation to the point where now all of that damage comes to the fore. They should have never made those decisions in the first place. But they did. They turned the FBI into a political action committee as opposed to the premier federal law enforcement agency in the world. The people of the United States have rightly lost faith in that agency. The Department of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, talking about how secure the border is and all of those just plain evasive lies being told before Congress. The problem with the DOJ, again, a political action committee bereft of any kind of interest in actually doing their job in favor of playing politics. I complained about all of these agencies when they were doing all of these things before they were just dismissed as conspiracy theories. Well, they're not conspiracy theories now. They're actual truths now. And these agencies have damaged themselves beyond credibility now. And now they're charged with trying to figure out just exactly what happened on a sunny day in Butler, Pennsylvania over the weekend. And I can summarize everything I just said by asking a simple question. Do you believe the FBI is a credible agency, credible enough to be able to handle this investigation without playing politics with it? There are going to be some people that say yes. I can't. I can't say yes. I simply can't. I'm sitting here looking at all this going, is there somebody else we can ask to do this job? The answer is no. Can't have the DHS do it. Can't have CIA do it. Can't have the NSA. Can't have any of these agencies. They cannot do it. Why? Because they're all sullied with the same political slime. And so what do? We just watch the FBI handle it, I guess. And what we do is we say, okay, let's see what they come up with. And then we ruminate over it. We look at the facts as they know them, correlate that with the facts as we know them, and see if they're actually telling the truth. We don't know whether they will or won't. We would hope that they would. But that should be something that we shouldn't even have to consider, shouldn't it? We shouldn't have to consider whether the FBI is trustworthy enough to handle this investigation. But as we come to this conversation, that's not the case. This is why making those mistakes years and years ago were so damaging, not just to the agency, but to the entire United States of America, perpetuated with unequal interpretations of law, enforcement of law, protections of law. This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Coming up in just a couple of seconds, we'll take a look at the young man who is essentially being nominated as the man who tried to kill the president. Just exactly who is that guy? And what are the questions surrounding his identity and his actions? We'll discuss all of that as we continue. This is the Monday, July 15th edition of the Wells Report, more of which continues next.
Vallarta.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Telephone number 817-379-2172. Unpacking all that happened over the weekend regarding the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. We have a report regarding the young man responsible for all that, at least where we stand now. And ABC put this out, and I want to share it with you here on the Wells Report on this Monday, July 15th.
This morning, investigators say the evidence so far leads them to believe the 20-year-old who tried to assassinate former President Trump acted alone. Law enforcement sources telling ABC News Thomas Crooks consumed some disinformation and conspiracy theories online, but nothing threatening.
At present, we have not identified an ideology associated with the subject, but I want to remind everyone that we're still very early in this investigation.
Law enforcement sources also told ABC News the shooter's AR-style rifle was purchased legally by his father in 2013. The family's cooperating with the investigation.
We do not know specifically how he accessed the weapon and whether he took it without his father's knowledge.
Investigators found what they describe as rudimentary explosives in Crooks's car parked outside the rally and at his home in Bethel Park. What they have not found is evidence of mental illness, a criminal record, or any links to extremist organizations. Crooks was a member of a local shooting club. He had no military experience. He worked at a nursing home. Public records show he was a registered Republican, and according to FEC records, a Thomas Crooks donated $15 to a progressive group in January 2021. Those who knew the 2022 high school graduate seen here receiving his diploma, describing him as lonely and quiet.
I mean, he would sit alone at lunch. I mean, he was just an outcast.
Summer Barkley remembered her classmate as polite and intelligent, but quiet and reserved.
in my class, he didn't talk about politics. He kept to himself about that. And there was never anything negative that anyone had ever heard about him.
That Crooks was an attempted assassin left his neighbors in disbelief.
The fact that, the guy was less than a mile away, a street away from where he lived, was kind of crazy.
The investigators now have two priorities, George. They want to exploit the suspect's phone. They've sent it to the FBI lab at Quantico for analysis, and they'd like to establish a timeline of his movements in the hours, days, and weeks before the shooting, hoping both of those things, George, will yield some answers here. George.
Aaron Katursky, thanks.
Yeah, and what you have there is Aaron Katursky making a first-class report on the actual assailant. There have been a lot of things on social media. There have been a lot of videotapes. There have been a lot of assertions made that are not helpful. And I know you're sitting there going, now, wait a minute. All the things that people were talking about that were written off as conspiracy theories have been proven true. Well, yeah, but it took time. And instead of getting out in front of it and whipping everybody into a frothy frenzy, which, by the way, is probably why we are here in the first place, we have to do a few things. Yes, the FBI is investigating. We have to suspend disbelief. The FBI will do a fair and proper job, but we'll be able to work that through after they finish their work. The Secret Service made mistakes, but there are an awful lot of people making silly statements regarding the actual detail. The detail did fine. There may have been some professional vagaries. We're, by the way, going to speak with a good friend of the broadcast, Gary Olivier, who is a former New York Gold Star detective, who indeed has participated in activities like this. So there are some things that I don't know that he does. He will share some of that with us. What we have to do at this particular moment is we have to remain calm. We have to relax. We have to, in my view, all contemplate the reality we would be currently living in had that shot been successful. And we have to determine whether or not those feelings that may have been kindled by that thankfully not successful shot, but had it been successful, we have to figure out what's next. We have to search our feelings and our ideas. We have to search our minds for just exactly what we would have done. Because I guarantee you, a lot of things would take us down a road that may be unrecoverable. Was there political rhetoric inciting, egging on what we saw on Saturday? Yes. Yes, there was. Are there now people backpedaling as fast as they possibly could to say, well, wait a minute, Trump said some bad things too, and all those MAGA guys and blah, yeah. Remember when I was telling you to stop making threats against people that you disagreed with politically? Just as I said that the FBI was killing itself and its reputation by mishandling law in favor of politics, I was also right when I told you to stop threatening people. Not you personally, obviously. We have to stop threatening each other. Imagine if there had been no threats to, shall we say, the right-wing political opposition. In other words, what if none of us had ever sent death threats to anybody, blah, 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 blah. If that had been the case, there would only be one particular group of people responsible for all of this. It would have been a clear-cut assertion that the American left was working for the assassination of Donald Trump. But because there have been threats going each direction, we provided cover for them. And that, unfortunately, is kind of a shame, I think. Sure would be nice to be able to nail somebody down for some of this, but, it's just not that way, is it? This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Hour number 2 coming up in just a couple of seconds. What about the political landscape in these United States? What about that? Where does that stand after this weekend? We find out next hour on the Wells Report.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship.
Call 877-655-6870. That's 877-655-6870. 877-655-6870.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. Greetings, my name is John David Wells. On this broadcast, we report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We do make commentary. Commentary is not news. No, commentary is opinion, both yours and mine. Let's compare. Let's debate. This is the Wells Report, and I want to thank you very much for being a part of our show. There are people that routinely are parts of our show, and one of them has joined us. He's a longtime friend of not just the Wells Report, but the Wells indeed, me. This is Gary Olivier. He is my dear friend. He's also a Gold Star detective, formerly in New York State, and he joins us now. Gary, thanks very much for being a part of the Wells Report.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So talk to us a little bit. You've done some of this work. You've protected principals. You've protected high-profile people from harm. And what did you see early Saturday when President Trump was almost assassinated right in front of the entire world on national television?
Well, JD, obviously not to give away any trade secrets and things like that. I'll just give you a quick overview of my observations, without getting into the nuts and bolts of it, because you know what, that's not really the public's business. But let's circle back real quick. Number one, right off the bat, you have there's dignitary protection 101, and they teach you this stuff in the police academy, for God's sake. High ground, whether it's a building or just topography or whatever. You secure the high ground, especially a building that is that close with a direct sight line right to the stage where President Trump was going to be, speaking. That building someone should have been posted, or several people should have been posted on the buildings in that area or any other area that was within that. Let's get crude and call it a kill zone. Someone should have been posted there, physically posted there. You clear the structure, then you secure the structure.
I can't figure out why there wasn't another counter sniper team on that roof. I was looking at that, and I would have said, even as an amateur, I would have said it would be one thing to have those two sniper stands on either side of the stage. That's fine, but the tactical implications and advantages of setting up a crossfire, you would think that there would be something along the lines of another counter sniper team on that building itself. I was stunned.
Yeah, absolutely. And the answer to that, without once again not giving away the trade secrets, would be there would be several. Case in point, I was we participated in a funeral for a New Jersey police officer that was executed, murdered by a drug gang.
Good God.
And literally right along the entire route going from the church to the cemetery, et cetera, there were police officers, multiple agencies, obviously, and they were all on these roofs, some of them quite visible. That whole route was secured, and that was just to counter any possible threats. All right, that's number one. Number two, yeah, there should have been multiple teams there, but that brass tacks, All of those structures should have been cleared and should have been secured. Whether it was, one, local PD standing on those roofs, because that's your high ground. So, yeah, there's a big question mark there, and we'll let that one go at that. Now, if I could, real quick, just go give you the, this whole DEI stuff. All right, a couple of pictures have been popping up with the Secret Service agents that were, covering President Trump, and there was a Secret Service agent that was squatting behind the stage, and yeah, this is a DEI hire. Okay, here's the deal. Oh God, I hate saying that, but this is how it works. Each of those agents has certain assignments. That agent was probably doing what she was supposed to do. And these lay people don't understand that. Now, I'm not a believer in, DEI nonsense. If you're qualified for a job, great. I don't care. And most people I know don't care what color you are, sex, sexual orientation, et cetera, as long as you have those abilities to do the job. But that agent was probably doing exactly what she was supposed to do.
I agree. And these people that are throwing all this stuff out on social media, look, social media is wonderful. I love the instant access to information and people's thoughts and so on and so forth. And the good far outweighs the bad. However, at this particular moment, as we come to this conversation, Gary, we need to allow this process to work, unfold, and then we can compare what we've seen and what you know, what I know, with what that report says. And I think it's time for us to back off and people cannot believe that what we see on a movie screen under circumstances just like this, we've all seen shows where this is portrayed in a movie scenario as just as smooth as glass and perfect and so on and so on. Real life is different. And what we have to do is we have to, I think, go along with this process and wait until we have some official statements. Will they be massaged? Probably. Will there be some things that we don't know that they refer to in the pages of that upcoming report? Yes. Will that cause questions? Yes. But that's when we'll lean on people like you, Gary, to be able to explain that to us.
Yes, I appreciate that, and thank you. And my observations and things come from a lot of years of experience, actually being parts of some of these details, which I was on two of these details as a police officer with a sitting president and a former president, as well as a former mayor of New York City, and several other senators and other politicians, and a couple of celebrities too through the PD. And I was also an instructor for some of this stuff in a private entity that I had done some adjunct work for over the years. So I'm pretty well versed. And once again, I'm not going to give away the trade secrets. That's not for anybody's business. But thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, before you go, I want to ask you a couple of other problems, or a couple of other things about a couple of other problems. Specifically, the FBI is the lead agency in this investigation. That agency doesn't have a really good reputation for trustworthiness or even following the law. What are your thoughts on the FBI running this investigation into this attempted assassination of someone that they have made some very odd decisions about?
Well, I could, just to echo some of the stuff that you said prior to the break. Yeah, I agree with you. It's how do you look? We're, as you pointed out, let's say we're stuck with them. They're the ones that are going to have to do this. Do I have trepidations and doubt about the clarity of what they're going to be doing and their actual, investigative procedures into getting to the bottom of all this? And yeah, I have, I'm really raising an eyebrow to it. But as you pointed out, we're stuck with them. Let it run its course, and then we'll just have to see what sticks to the wall.
I think you're right, Gary. Thanks very much. Gary Olivier, Gold Shield detective from New York State and New York, and took part in 9/11 and did a lot of things that bring him to this broadcast with his wealth of knowledge, which is immense. Gary, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. That is Gary Olivier, as I said, and he knows what he's talking about. He just absolutely does. And so, what do we have? Well, we have United States of America that is I believe, certainly handling the turmoil in which we find ourselves very, very well. You know, the people of the United States obviously relieved that the President of the United States was not gunned down in broad daylight in what would have been a horror show of epic proportions. A would-be assassin tried to plunge the United States of America into that turmoil, arguably even the abyss, and was unsuccessful. Thank God. A lot of people that do a lot of this stuff for a living sort of shrug their shoulders and say, you know, it was heavenly intervention. There's no real other way to explain it, aside from the simple mechanics of someone that did not know exactly what they were doing, making a shot that they were not capable of, and thankfully being unsuccessful at it. The political world is now taking stock of itself, and they've got a lot of contrition to consider today. USA Today reports it like this: a would-be assassin is plunging the already tense American political climate into full-blown hysteria as the chaos from bullets flying at former President Donald Trump at a political rally in Pennsylvania spread throughout the 2024 electoral landscape. This kind of hysterical language is how we got here in the first place. USA Today needs to settle down. And I told him that on Friday. I wrote a post on X that discussed inflammatory language being applied to Donald Trump, and I said, stop it. That was the last word on the post. Stop. Little did I know the next day that someone would not stop. Someone would indeed try to shoot the President of the United States. My wife, almost immediately after hearing about the horrifying story, sent me a text saying, gosh, I wish you would stop being right. This has been going on for a long time. There are people of the left who have said scurrilous things, a beheaded Donald Trump, an actor. When was the last time an actor shot a president? I'd like to blow up the White House. Politicians, you will reap the whirlwind. We have to put a bullseye on Donald Trump's back. A threat to democracy. Hitler. All of these things decried on this broadcast. And they should be decried by everyone, including people of the political parties that seem to be so famously in favor of them. If I have to look at a scorecard to think about the ridiculously dumb statements of a violent nature being made by Democrats and Republicans, yes, the Democrat side is much more populated, shall we say. A lot more really stupid conversation points that have been talked about regarding violence against Donald Trump, etc. So much so that we now have Trump derangement syndrome. It's just inexcusable. It is character assassination. It is awful, and so on and so on. And it has gone on for years. And I'm just surprised that something like this didn't happen sooner. I have been talking and talking and talking about how we must elect different people. There is no better case for electing different people than what we saw over the weekend in Pennsylvania. We've got an election. We need to turn a bunch of these people right out of office. And you know who they are. And oh, by the way, people say, hey, John David, how come you're not playing all of those ridiculously awful statements? Because I don't want to give them air anymore. And yes, there's an implication on that I'm going to discuss here in just a couple of moments. As we continue to unfold the day that is Monday, July 15th, year of our Lord 2024. This is the Wells Report. Thanks for being a part of our broadcast. We're going to be back with more of this in just a couple of minutes, including what do we do about the rhetoric? It's next.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. There's a thoughtful article regarding just exactly what political rhetoric and the violence contained in that political rhetoric has as an effect on we, the people of the United States. It comes from Reuters. Within hours of the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump, many of the supporters began laying blame on Democrats. And then they say, seeking to flip the script on who has stoked America's heated political rhetoric as cases of political violence reach historic heights. From establishment Republicans to far-right conspiracy theorists, a consistent message emerged that President Joe Biden and other Democrat leaders laid the groundwork for Saturday's shooting by casting Trump as an autocrat who poses a grave threat to democracy. They go on with this narrative in this Reuters article for a while. I see it differently. But then there's this. And by the way, some of those things are very scary. Take a look at more of this article. Almost immediately after the Saturday attack, right-wing websites were brimming with assertions that left-wing rhetoric motivated Trump's assailant. Many commentators blamed the shooting on the White House, the Biden White House, or push unsubstantiated conspiracy theories, including a claim that a shadowy deep state cabal within the government orchestrated it. I doubt very sincerely the deep state had anything to do with this. We may or may not find out, insofar as operatives of the deep state are now investigating it. The Reuters article tries to claim that that the idea of a shadowy deep state cabal doesn't exist is just plain stupid. It absolutely exists. We've seen it over and over and over again. Sabotaging a president of the United States, providing unequal protections under the law, so much so that most Americans believe there are two forms of law in this land: laws for conservatives and laws for Democrats. Trump's Republican backers pointed specifically to a comment made on July 8th. President discussed the dismal debate performance and said, hey, we've got to put Trump in the bullseye. Yeah, that was actually not the wrong thing to say. Then, for whatever reason, the editors of Reuters got back to reality. Kurt Braddock, an assistant professor of public communication at the American University who researches political violence, said Biden's criticisms of Trump as a threat to the nation are not the same as the violent language deployed by right-wing supporters of Trump. It's a bit of a false equivalence, said Braddock. Trump supporters have had an increase in threats and harassing communications aimed at election workers, judges, and other officials. However, President Biden, on the other hand, has glowered at the American people with a blood-red background behind him, talking about how MAGA is essentially equivalent to Nazi, and taking shots at 74 million Americans with regards to political differences. Yeah, all of this got overheated. Yes, it is on both sides. There is a false equivalence between rednecks on social media and presidents and senators and members of Congress on national television. To try to compare those two doesn't work. But is the right guilty of absolutely ridiculous, violent political rhetoric? Yes. Yes, they are. The heat? Way too hot. Does it need to be turned down? Immediately. Yeah, I could have played all of those ridiculous and scurrilous statements made by leftist politicians against President Donald Trump. There's an even larger body of work from leftist news commentators against President Trump. But if I give them oxygen, they live again, don't they? And yes, don't forget, it's not lost on me how convenient. John David's making a decision not to play these scurrilous statements one more time, which means that the left doesn't have to cringe when they hear their own voices in their own words, do they? We all know what's being said, and we all know by whom. This is the Wells Report. Back in a moment.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. John David Wells at your service. The amazing reverberations travel through the country regarding the assassination attempt against President Trump on Saturday in Butler, Pennsylvania. We are still sitting here wondering what might have been. What would this day be like if that 20-year-old assassin had been successful? What would we be doing right now? Do you have an answer? Go to the chat room. Our telephone is down. I've been working with Frontier, arguably the world's worst telecom company. And if you have a comment, I certainly would like to hear it. Let me go through some of this here. And we just had a conversation with Gary Olivier, a Gold Star detective, regarding some of the inner workings of the actual event that we saw on national television. I'm more concerned that the FBI bosses will quash any findings they don't like. Yeah, that's the problem. We don't know exactly where the FBI is on any of this. We do know that the FBI set aside their personal integrity, their professional integrity, and American law to play politics against Donald Trump. Do they still do that? The answer is we don't know. And I'm sure that some imperious FBI manager, had he heard me just say that, would call me on the telephone and say, "How dare you impugn the integrity of the FBI?" And I would say, "Sir, you don't have any integrity. Integrity is something you have to build through years and years and years of good decisions. And that integrity can be undone by just a couple of bad ones. Undone for years. And you're at the beginning of those years, sir. So don't give me your imperious garbage that the FBI is above political petty squabbles, because we caught you red-handed violating American law and the Bill of Rights. Should people trust the FBI to run this investigation in an even-handed way? No. But this is the FBI's first real chance to do an investigation of Donald Trump and get it right. And the incremental rebuilding of their integrity that will probably take 1,000 such chances will have begun at the outset of what happens with this investigation. So yeah, am I tough on the FBI? You're damn right I am. It's absolutely ridiculous. We find ourselves in a position where this particular law enforcement group, if we can say that, is actually now trying to do their real job, and none of us can trust what's about to happen. That's their fault, not ours. It's not a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy. It's the poisonous vomitus of political action on the part of FBI management that has spilled over every suit. It's horrifying and it's terrible. But they have a chance to start the road back with this investigation. We'll see if they blow it or whether or not they want to continue traipsing around in the desert with vomit on their lapels. Political vomit at that, the worst kind. Speaking of politicians, there have been an awful lot of people that were reaching out to President Donald Trump. And this is a CBS News report on that very subject. Let's take a look.
We have seen an outpouring of support from both sides of the aisle for former President Trump and for the rally attendee who lost their life in yesterday's attack. House Speaker Mike Johnson is vowing to conduct a congressional investigation into what happened, saying, quote, "The American people deserve to know the truth." Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi saw political violence up close when her husband was attacked in their home. She said, quote, "I know firsthand that political violence of any kind has no place in our society. I thank God that former President Trump is safe." And former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, who survived in an assassination attempt in 2011, said, quote, "Political violence is terrifying. I know. I'm holding former President Trump and all those affected by today's indefensible act of violence in my heart." CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe joins us now. Ed, you see standard Secret Service protections every day at the White House. What kind of protective barriers are typically there placed by the Secret Service compared to an event at a rally like yesterday?
So, Lindsay, it's important for people to remember that the Republican National Convention is classified as a special national security event, or an NSSE, National Security Special Event. Presidential inaugurations, the Super Bowl, handful of other sporting and entertainment events across the country, and these conventions are always classified as such. So what you're seeing is, for example, this black non-scalable fencing. This is the exact kind of fencing that was around the White House for about 2 years and was up earlier or during the week last week as a precaution during the NATO summit. They put it up in the event of protests or large crowds for whatever reason wanting to come towards the White House. There was no such convening of people around the White House, but they put it up as a protection. And they put it up here as well because we're told, or we had been told ahead of last night, that this is the hotel where Donald Trump is expected to stay when he's here in Milwaukee. If that is still the case, experience would suggest that this perimeter around this hotel will probably get pushed back another block that way behind the camera to keep crowds away. It's just before 8 a.m. here in Milwaukee, so there's not large crowds out here anyway, necessarily. This is a non-residential part of downtown Milwaukee, but they anticipate once he arrives, or they had been anticipating before he arrived, that there would be crowds potentially milling about, trying to catch a glimpse of him going to and from the Fiserv Forum, which is a few blocks away, where the Milwaukee Bucks play, which is where the convention is being held. So this is what a large-scale event like this would look like, whether it's the Super Bowl or a convention. And now we're expecting that the perimeter will be expanded over the course of today ahead of the former president's eventual arrival.
Yep, indeed, that is going to be the case. That's not an assumption. That is an absolute lead pipe cinch. We got to make sure that these people are safe, and we got to make sure that we do the things required to be able to continue this American dialogue that occurs once every 4 years, with bumps in the road, no doubt. And certainly this is one of the biggest we've seen. But this process, Americans choosing to not just pick those who govern them, but to indeed elect representatives who allow us to govern ourselves. That's what's happening here. And the upset and all of the mess that's going on around it, well, that's the political process. It is messy, but it's also something that you don't want to see any more of from a standpoint of destruction. At least I don't want to see anything more of it. USA Today reports the story of the RNC Republican convention this way. Donald Trump is expected to announce his 2024 running mate today. That is a decision that comes after an assassination attempt just 2 days ago on the presumptive Republican 2024 nominee, in months of speculation about who the former president would tap. Sources say the schedule calls for a vice president nomination shortly after 3:30 p.m. local time. That's going to be Central Time Zone. That's about 3 hours from now. Trump may make the announcement before then. We're keeping our eyes open. Monday is the first day of the GOP convention. That's today. Milwaukee is the place. Republicans will be laying out their conservative pitch to voters across the country. But a Republican nominating convention that was expected to focus on divisive issues like immigration and stolen elections will likely shift to a different vibe when it begins today in the shadows of the chaotic assassination attempt this weekend. Now, this is where things begin to go dangerously awry. You know, when I report the news, I do it over here, and I'm straightforward and faithful to the copy that's handed to me by all of these fine news organizations, just like USA Today. But I do reserve the right to point out fact and bias. This is a loose statement by the people who wrote this article. I'm not going to give you their names because they should know better. But this is the next line in this particular article. Former President Donald Trump got a political gift as his convention began. Yeah, okay, a political gift. Yeah, we're going to back off of that. Fortunately, what they've done is they've alluded to a Florida federal judge dismissing the case of keeping classified materials against President Trump based on the fact that the special prosecutor, Jack Smith, was improperly appointed and not vetted or gone through the advising consent process of the U.S. Senate. It's a no-brainer. I doubt that there's even going to be an appeal. President Trump arrived in Milwaukee last night, said he's changing the focus of the convention. The assassination attempt against him provided a chance to bring the whole country, even the whole world, together. And he says he is going to work it out. The original speech, he said, was going to be a humdinger. Honestly, it's going to be a whole different speech now. And here are some of the things that you need to know. How to watch the RNC. It's not open to the public, but you can stream its events on YouTube, X, Facebook Live, Rumble, Amazon Prime, Twitch, and DirecTV. The broadcast from USA Today will begin at 1 p.m. Actually, it just began about 35 minutes ago. So you can go find that at, let's see, there's a link to the USA stream, and I suggest that you use this. This is something that you really ought to follow, I think. And you can find this at usatoday.com, okay? Let's see, the RNC is slated to officially begin at 12:35 Central Time, so it started exactly 3 minutes ago. The official session will follow at 5:45 and last until 10 p.m. Let's see. Trump seeks dismissal of all cases. He may not get it, says USA Today. Flush with a big legal victory, the dismissal of his criminal case for retaining classified documents after leaving office. Donald Trump is seeking dismissal of 2 other pending cases, in part because of the assassination attempt. As we move forward in uniting our nation after the horrific events on Saturday, this dismissal of the lawless indictment in Florida should just be the first step, followed quickly by the dismissal of all the witch hunts, said Trump in a Truth Social post. Let's talk about that for a second. None of these cases should have been brought in the first place. All the pieces required to dismiss all of them are already in place. The Supreme Court says presumptive immunity, outright immunity in cases of constitutional duty. We have pushed this president around since he first came down the escalator in 2015, 10 years ago, some 10 years ago, close. We've been saying nasty, rotten, horrible things. He's a rapist. He's Hitler. He's this, he's that, et cetera, et cetera. None of this stuff bears the weight of the American system, one that requires innocence before proof of guilt. The irredeemable practice of mischaracterization of statements that are just plain as day by the mainstream media. The mainstream media has the lion's share of blame in this negative, vitriolic, poisonous, as I said, vomitous of violent political rhetoric. The mainstream media reports on all of it, adds to it as it sees fit. And I did happen to notice that Joe Scarborough and his wife, Mika Brzezinski, were not on the air today. Why were they not on the air? Well, because it's convention coverage. That's fine. But they're not on the air for another reason. That is a scurrilous anti-Trump broadcast from the get-go. I have no idea what MSNBC is doing today because they are the official propaganda wing of the progressive left in the United States of America. That NBC allows it to continue one more day makes you wonder about the national loyalties of NBC, doesn't it? I'm not going to find out what MSNBC is doing today. I'm assuming that they're just going to go on their typical normal way and talk about how President Trump should be indicted for inciting his own assassination. Okay, that's not my bit. That came from the Babylon Bee this morning on X. Very funny. I love the Babylon Bee. Man, just got to tell you. Anyway, so what we have is all of this coming together, and the idea that these cases should be dismissed, not just political wishful thinking. It's time for us to stop screwing around with a presidential candidate, regardless of party. Okay, regardless of party. It is obvious the DOJ has no interest in moving forward with any actions against Joe Biden. They could have if they wanted to, but the special prosecutor said, nope, old man, faulty memory, not competent to stand trial, but somehow competent to run the United States. Okay? We know for a fact The DOJ is not going to move forward with any of those things. And we also know that there won't be any other group of people trying to do anything like the Republican Party, for example, on trying to move forward with actions against Joe Biden. So what we have is what we have. Time for us to pick up all the pieces and move forward as Americans, not Democrats or Republicans, but Americans. I think that's a really good plan, and we should start right now.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. I have spent time over the weekend thinking about what might have been. The pictures I conjured up in my brain were incredibly concerning. What would happen in this nation if Donald Trump was actually dead at this particular moment? We should all contemplate that, because we would all be touched by the decisions made by others under those circumstances. I've lived through this before. Not necessarily at this same level, but close. I was 10 years old in 1968. Martin Luther King was shot. Robert F. Kennedy was shot. The nation embroiled in race riots that made the BLM riots look like a like a marshmallow roast. This nation has been here before, under similar circumstances. The American left losing their grip on political power. And I don't think that's a coincidence. There has been scurrilous, violent political rhetoric applied against Donald Trump that paint him as a threat to our society in various ways. And over the weekend, somebody tried to do something about it. Unfortunately, they failed. I see a responsible party in all this. I'm not going to move beyond it because saying something like that is how we got here in the first place. The quiet confidence of Americans shown over the years by knowing full well what's going on without melting down in front of everyone is an American art that has been lost over narcissism and people who just happen to believe that their ideas are more important than their neighbors. Not their neighbors' ideas, actually more important than their neighbors in person. These people that are granted, some kind of grace well beyond the things they deserve is plain. These entitled people are crazy. And yeah, that started back in the 60s with the entitled people of the 60s kids generation deciding that everything was wrong and they were right. Free love and all of the things that happened as freedom was flourishing across the nation. These same people growing up to make sure that nobody could enjoy the same kind of freedoms they did when they were kids. No, you kids can't do any of that. Terrific. But of all the images that we could have seen over the weekend, there is one that is something we should all pay very close attention to. All of us. And it's this one. This one right here. This is a president of the United States who had just been shot, with people standing around him offering their lives to protect his. This looks very much like the flag raising of Iwo Jima, doesn't it? It does. As you look at all of this, you see the American flag raising behind the President of the United States, the former president, his fist in the air, blood on his face. This is the enduring image of what could have been everlasting tragedy. As far as anybody that are spending time, dare I say, wasting time, trying to point fingers and so on and so forth, be patient. There will be plenty of time for us to wonder whether or not we're being told the truth, sadly, until at some point, the government of the United States telling the truth is something that is the base, the default, the typical, as opposed to the exception to the rule. I hope one of these days that I can say, I remember when politics poisoned everything, but it doesn't now. I look forward to a day where we can actually discuss the needs of the nation instead of the needs of the party. I look forward to a day when we are not on the brink. A bullet at 2,700 feet per second, just about an inch and a half to the right, would have altered this country forever. Thank God it did not. Thanks very much for watching this broadcast. It is the Wells Report. We're on every day between 11 and 1 p.m., 11 a.m., 1 p.m. Central Time Zone. The RNC is just underway. The Republican National Convention, what are they going to give us? You know what they're going to give us. The question is whether we'll be laughing or crying. See you tomorrow for another edition of the Wells Report. That was funny. Take good care of yourselves, okay? I got to go.